What's up, guys? It's Jake, and there's no Jonathan and Tyler on this episode. We are those fantasy dudes, and today we are hosting winner of the Jon and Connor matchup, Connor.
I mean, John's dead. We can see that in
Yeah,
the title. John's dead.
right. That's what happened. I mean, he's at least scared. We know that. Otherwise, he would be here.
You are messing with me, right? So, like, Jake and I have been friends for a long time. Anyone that listens to this probably knows that. There's no way he's actually scared. There's no way he's sitting on his couch right now, not being here, because he doesn't want to deal with me. Like, that's
no. He said, "I can't take it. I'm gonna get on there, and he's gonna be so mean. I'm gonna cry." And I said, "Jon, Connor's a pretty nice guy. I don't think he'd do that to you." And then he started crying on the phone. And that's last time I spoke to him.
Yep. No, I would absolutely do that to him because he
Right.
deserves it.
Yep.
But I thought, as correct me if I'm wrong, he's the commissioner of our fantasy league. Is that
The
right?
commissioner of our fantasy league, right? And the host of those fantasy dudes.
He hosts a fantasy football podcast. He's the
Right.
commissioner of our fantasy football league.
Yes.
You think he could be here to answer questions, and it's quite frankly, as a fan of the show, as a fan of you, it's troubling that he's not. It hurts me inside.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. You can't. You got these friends, and sometimes you stand by them, and sometimes they take actions like this, where you're just like, "Wow, who are you? Who are you?
You're not the person I thought you were."
You get it. You get
Yeah.
it.
No, I understand.
So he's not here, and I don't know where Tyler is. Tyler just hasn't showed up. Haven't heard from him in weeks.
Yeah, he's a guy that just kind of disappeared. Did he
He's
send a
off the
video?
rails. He's off the rails. No, he's out of here.
Totally gone.
Yeah, he's been in the woods a lot recently, just alone.
Well, there's.
So yeah. So who knows? Maybe next week it's you and me again. We'll see.
I'm jacked up to talk some fantasy.
Yeah, right. You're jacked up to talk fantasy. Well, then if I got a segment for you,
hit me with it.
Brittany Mahomes update.
Sam, we're talking Brittany Mahomes.
Update.
As everyone knows, this is my least favorite segment ever. So I'm required, unfortunately, by Jon.
Did Jon send you this? Like, how did you apply?
He told me I had to specifically talk about one thing. Also,
you can't bail out of a segment, a
we
podcast,
put out,
and then
we put out the question on whether or not we should cancel those fantasy, or that we should cancel Brittany Mahomes update, and everybody voted. One of them being Jon on his other account for not canceling it. And ultimately, I don't do a lot of work to do this podcast except for this episode. So we're keeping the Brittany Mahomes segment. I am required by Jon to talk about the fact that some news came out that Taylor Swift was not happy with Brittany Mahomes because allegedly Brittany Mahomes was tipping off the paparazzi to where they were going to be. We have our correspondent and Connor's partner Sam here to speak on the news. Sam, what do you think about that?
So that I heard that as well. That is okay. That is not surprising to me as well. It was seen on Dumois, which is like a celeb sighting, like a couple of weeks ago. So it's not very surprising. I would say for her personal brand, it bodes well for her to be seen with Taylor Swift.
Right.
I think Taylor's been burned a lot in her life. So for her to have a friend that tips off paparazzi, not going to work well for Brittany in the long term.
I'm just saying it tracks for Brittany Mahomes' character. Does she not seem incredibly fake?
Absolutely. I think Brittany has had a rough couple of years since her husband joined the NFL. People don't like her because people don't like Jackson Mahomes.
Right.
And she's a big fan of her brother-in-law. She also very much gives off like pick-me energy.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she just got kind of lucky that Taylor decided that Travis was the guy that she liked, and she capitalized it. So honestly, good for her. That's good PR. Yeah. But she's taken it a step too far with this whole paparazzi thing, and I think it's going to backfire against her.
And I mean, okay, so as as a woman, how do you deal with
Pop
your
off.
your partner gets a friend, your partner has a friend and their partner, they suck.
Yeah.
What do you just gotta kind of be friends with them.
I mean, he wasn't talking to you, Connor. I would say, yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like a toss up. It kind of depends on how far along you are in your relationship. Like, if this is your person, then like you kind of just got to suck it up and deal with it.
Right.
Because if this is a long term friend, or if this is a friend like I believe like Travis and Patrick are friends, they're not going anywhere. So you kind of just got to suck it up. If it's early on and you're not trying to impress the guy that much, then you probably don't have to do a lot of work. I think with Travis and Taylor, though, she's going to kind of have to just put on a brave face and be able to be around her. That being said, though, the whole sharing boxes thing, I think that's going to end pretty soon.
You think so?
I do. I think
Mm.
if there's any more credibility to this, if anybody else comes out with it, like TMZ or E! News or anybody comes out with more credibility to this, I think the sharing boxes thing is going to end really soon. And Brittany's going to have to buy her own box again, which is sucks for her, but that's what
Oh,
she
see,
did.
I didn't know that. That's the arrangements going down. Taylor's
Yeah,
buying the
it's
box.
Taylor's
Oh.
box, and she invites people into it. And so, like, the box that she had at New England, she was given, or she bought it. So that's how she got to bring her dad in, bring Brittany in, any friends that she wanted to.
Right.
The KC boxes, they may be Brittany's just because she's been there longer, but any of the away
Yeah.
ones, I assume they're Taylor's just because
Okay.
she has the pull and Brittany doesn't.
Right.
I think if this keeps up, that's going to end real soon, and they will not be in the same box anymore.
I mean, I think one of two things happens long term. Either they have a falling out and there's like a
Yes.
total end to it, or the news fall like this can only be so exciting for so long. When Taylor and Kelsey have been together for 3 years, is it as exciting
Well,
if it lasts that long?
I think it's already dwindling. Like,
I agree. I agree.
I think Taylor fans love that she finally found somebody that, one, is proud to be with her, and two, superficially is taller than her, because that has been such an issue for her. It has been. Don't laugh at me.
Matters.
It matters.
It
And I think
Jake, don't you indulge.
Look, speaking from experience, that was sometimes the only reason I was pulling anybody. I'm just putting that out there.
girls love it. And I think she also appreciates that he is so proud to be with her.
Mm,
And you can tell, like, even in his podcast, like, everything he says about her, he runs by her
yeah.
because he's not allowed to say a lot of shit. But she has this one song, and she talks about how, if you're with her, there's a chance you're never going to have peace because her life is so out there and it's so public that, like, you have to be okay with the fact that every part of your life is going to be on display. And I think he's done a really good job at handling that. I think other people haven't, Brittany being one of them. And I think she has seen that. One, she's cut people off for that. And two, she knows what that looks like when it backfires. And it's going to backfire.
I mean, it's just I feel like for Brittany Mahomes is such a clout chaser
Oh,
that
God,
like
yeah.
this is the pinnacle. Like it doesn't get any higher. Who do
No,
you in her circle? Who are you friends with that is more important than Taylor Swift?
No, but what's
Like
funny,
you just
though,
can't.
is that one of the women in her wedding and her bridal party was Travis's ex.
Oh.
And I don't know if Travis has been married before, but if he wasn't,
Wasn't she talking shit? Wasn't that girl talking shit?
No, that was a different girl. That was the girl that was on Chasing Kelsey.
Okay, we actually did a segment on this show about it's Catching Kelsey, isn't it?
Catching whatever it is.
Yeah, and there's some weird bits in that
He
show.
needed some money, so he's like, "I'll do a dating show."
Yeah,
He was in like his second season.
It's
that
pretty
was
funny.
That girl. But he was dating a woman for probably like many years. Like they were very serious, and she was in Brittany and Patrick's wedding. Like she was a bridesmaid. So I think it's a little interesting now that, and she was all over Brittany's Instagram too.
Yeah, I know. I remember her. Yeah.
Yeah, when her and Travis were together, and now they're broken up. Don't see her anymore. She's not around. Taylor's all over her Instagram. So it's a little interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, total clout chaser. Her and I mean
Absolutely.
Jackson Mahomes would be such a PR nightmare for Taylor that
That's a whole nother episode.
honestly, almost not thank God because he did a horrific thing, but thank God that he is not it's not a couple years ago because he would have been snapping with her all the time. He would have been such a problem for them.
Well, they were pictured together in a box at one game, and people got
Yeah.
really upset because
Which
they
I mean, it's a given. It's his brother. I mean, until he's in
Fair.
jail, it's
fair.
it's like they're gonna stand by him, and
The
that's
man's
not
still a
great.
soldier, but
But he's an absolute predator.
and
But
Taylor's such a champion of women, so for her to be seeing
right,
him, a lot
yeah,
of Swifties were very upset about that, and I think she recognized that and was like, "No, I can't be. I can be seen with
yeah.
Patrick and Brittany, but I can't be with Jackson."
Well, Brittany came out and defended Jackson too.
Not
I
very
forgot.
surprising.
No, not at all. Right, and it's kind of crazy. Patrick, especially recently after that the game against the Bills where he was all bitching and pissing, he's still not my least favorite Mahomes by a wide margin because it's Jackson, Brittany, and then him somehow, and he still sucks.
Yeah.
So, have you seen his dad though? Patrick Mahomes'
No.
dad
I've
rocks.
seen his mom, who also looks like a clout chaser,
Yeah, that tracks.
but
His dad, I think, is an old MLB player, and when he beat the Bengals last year, he was out on the field and he was smoking on that Joe Burrow pack. He's the best. I like Patrick Mahomes' dad. He seems cool, but
I
yeah,
mean, at least he doesn't have a corny handshake because that's really what does me in with Jackson beyond the whole
yeah,
sexual assault thing is the corny handshakes that he has and just the Britney posting him with his niece and nephew and just trying to make him look good. And it's just no,
they're
you
just doing
can't change
PR
people.
rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just go dark mode.
gross.
Don't let anybody see you for a while, and then just slowly reintroduce yourself.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
not going to do
Do
that.
some charity. Do something. Do some.
Donate to a women's shelter.
Yeah, yeah. That whole family, fucking nightmare.
Agree.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for your
Of
input on
course.
here. John's going to be very happy with this because I told him I wasn't doing the segment today, and he argued with me. So
Happy to help. I'll let Connor come back.
thank you so much.
Of course. Go ahead.
Connor smoking unfiltered off the side,
Strictly
smoking
tall
cigs
balls.
inside.
It's part of my lease.
Yeah, it was negotiated in.
Yeah.
I could smoke cigarettes inside this place, right? All right. Well, that
I'm
was
sorry that happened to all your listeners. That was interesting.
that was a Brittany Mahomes segment. Honestly, pretty good one. We really appreciate Sam for adding any kind of substance to that. I would have just trashed on the segment again, and there was some pushback on that last week. And you know what? It's kind of like when you don't have your own funding. I don't write any of this show usually. I don't do any of the work. I just kind of show up and bullshit and talk shit. So
You had a tough enough time just getting us here to this moment. So
yeah,
quite
sometimes
frankly, you should be commended for that.
there's
But an intro played, there was video, I was dancing, you were dancing. The fact that we got there, you should pat yourself on the back.
It's pretty impressive. So, all right. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the good stuff.
NFL news and injury updates.
All right. So we got a couple of big ones this week, a couple of big ones that we got to talk about. The 2-3 biggest I would talk about. Actually, there's a bunch of here that are pretty important.
There's a lot. I mean,
Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's what most people are thinking. Because if you had Tyreek Hill,
yeah,
strong chance you're in the playoffs. If you didn't get a bye, you're at least 4th, 5th seed. So if you made it this far, you still got Tyreek because you didn't have him last week, and I'm sure some people missed out because of that. So that was rough. But he missed practice today, but that's not a huge concern to me because he typically misses.
It's Wednesday, correct? Yeah, I mean that's you give your veteran running backs Wednesday off. I mean, I remember even at the end, Brady was limited on Wednesdays, and he's a quarterback. He just going through the motions because Tyreek's the epitome of you don't have to do shit all week. Just show up on Sunday and be faster than the guy across from you.
Right, and he is. So it's that doesn't concern me, but I need to see at least a limited tomorrow to have any kind of any kind of hope that that's happening. And I think that'll happen because I think he was close last week. But it was just a matter of like, do we need him?
Right. I mean, you're playing a Jets offense that if you're Miami at home, you're thinking if we score 2 touchdowns, we're going to win, and we might win by double digits.
Right. And I mean, given that it was 30-0, I think that they made the right assumption.
And well, it wasn't even close too.
It was not close at all.
It was like 24-0 at half or something, or
yeah,
they were.
It
wasn't 7-0 at half. It was
no. It was a total romping. There was nothing. It was not even a game. And that was kind of right on McDaniels to make that call. It's like, why are you going to throw a guy out there in one of your most winnable games without him?
Well, and that's my question. If we're talking fantasy here, obviously, like, does he play if it's the divisional round of the playoffs?
Oh yeah, I think he does.
Like, so it sucks for fantasy playoffs because it's still the regular season. But the reality is, if he's in the lineup, if he's not inactive on Sunday, you play him.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's a real, like,
I mean, just without question.
His track record, you can't not anyway. But like, it's not. This is not an injury where it's like an MCL sprain or anything like that, where it's like that's something that could nag or get worse. So this is it's an ankle. This is something that's like, okay, well, you're faster than the guy across from you, and this is limiting you from doing that.
Yeah, and that's their whole scheme there, isn't it? That's part of it. They're stretching the field, opening it up on the sides. So, I don't feel remotely concerned about Tyreek Hill. I think he practices in even a limited fashion tomorrow because, like you said, he just got to show up on Saturday. And as long as I see a full practice on Friday, or even a limited practice on Friday, I'm still holding out hope and thinking that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, and you're more cautious than I am. If he's active for the game, he's starting in my lineup.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Right, like, yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to.
If you got this far with him, you'd rather lose with him being unproductive 100%. Than I can't play him because he didn't practice all week, and then all of a sudden he goes off for 25 like he seems to do every week this year.
Yeah. No, he's totally a guy especially at this point in his career. You're not sitting him unless he's inactive. I just make sure you're watching. If he's a game time decision, that's the nightmare position. But
are they? And I know it's Saturday. Are they late or early?
Let me check real quick. But regardless, you should know before then.
That's also true. And at the very least, it's still. I do love the NFL Saturday games the last couple of years. By the way,
it's the best, man.
Like the fact, and I do like college football. I just don't. I have my own football to deal with usually Saturday, so it's like I don't get to dive in as much as I'd like to, but. The NFL Saturdays post Army Navy game really is a light for my weekend.
Oh, there's Sunday. So there's Sunday 4:00 window.
Excuse me. There's Sunday 4:00.
Sunday 4:00. So I mean, chances are you don't have anybody that's going to be a good slot in with the other guys you got going. But I'm not worried. I'm really not with a Sunday game. You've got all Thursday, Friday, Saturday to find out everything. I'm happy with that.
Do we give advice on this podcast?
Of course we give advice on this podcast.
Okay, I mean, just throwing this one out there too. If you have Tyreek Hill and you're not sure, the Patriots are playing that night. So you can always grab a Devontae Parker off the waivers, for example.
I mean, he's available everywhere for good reason. Right? Shit's not looking good. I want you to know that shit's not looking good if you're grabbing a Devontae Parker off the waivers. So, all right, let's run through a couple of these other big ones. Jacobs is trending towards playing. That's big. He's been good this season, so probably need him.
Who's that?
Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
Chris Olave, likely to play. He's looking like
on a Thursday too, which I have him in another one of our leagues. I'm alive in our league together.
Yep.
In another league. I think I read that roster the last time I was on a couple of weeks ago. That's the one that I should want to run away and hide.
Yeah.
In that. Yep. But he's one of my receivers in that. Just like you usually don't see inactive for a Sunday and then the following Thursday he's ready to play.
I think he was close. I think it was
because he didn't practice or he wouldn't. He was on the. If it was a real practice, he wouldn't have practiced list on Monday.
Yeah, I think that's the deal. Is he was close on Sunday, and now he's just ready to play. He just needed maybe a day or two more.
Because it was nothing
But
gruesome. It wasn't like a high ankle or anything like where he got like rolled up on.
no,
It was. I believe it was on a touchdown catch, actually, right?
something like that.
Like
Yep. So
he just got tackled in the end zone, and then all of a sudden he's out for the rest of the game, and then he's not playing the next week.
Yeah. Yep. So that's good. Other guys, you got illness from James Cook. Not worried about that.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday. If as long as he gets in something this week, I'm happy. He had a huge game Sunday.
Well, so the James, is that his ceiling?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
they're not
going to
mad
at that though. Like 36.
If I had him, no, absolutely not. Especially
Yeah,
the
I've got
running
him.
back, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't like you used to. You have Adrian Peterson and even like a LeGarrette Blount or whatever. Like, you're riding those running backs all season, but that's not the reality anymore, right? So if you can get that production from a running back, especially in an offense where, like, my biggest thing is if you had James Cook, your biggest issue was he's sitting on your bench.
Yeah.
Like, there's a chance, depending on other backs you had, and if you throw a receiver in that flex, like, he's sitting.
I don't know, man. He's been really good. I'm starting him everywhere I got him.
Is that right? He does catch a lot. He does catch a lot of balls too. Like, he's not rushing.
Well, like the thing is, if he was playing a tough defense, I'd be like, oh, I'll think about it. But he's playing Chargers
this week. You're saying?
Yeah, he's playing the Chargers this week. Like, I mean, I'm smashed starting that. He's RB7 on the season. I mean, his last 5 games are 12, 19, 16, 25, 36, and he played Philly, Dallas, Kansas City, and the Jets during that stretch.
Well, and that's the other thing too about running back. You say he's 7. You said
7 on the season.
So you look at that, and that's also like clearly RB1 production, especially recently. I look at a guy like, and again, just because I have him, like Brian Robinson.
Yeah,
he's a top 10 back. But you don't think of that like that. That's like, you can pencil receivers in to be this guy's going to get me 15 this week. It used to be that way with running backs. I know I'm not new to this, but like, people have realized this. So I'm not breaking any news here, but the fact that the RB7 or RB8 could be a question mark for you, like, especially this time of year, shows you where the position has gone, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, there's just guys that you wouldn't think, like, I mean, just those. I mean, there's those guys every year, but especially with the development of more pass catching running backs, there's more and more of those guys with that consistent floor.
Right.
And I mean, I would be interested to see the percentage of championship rosters that Brian Robinson's on, because that's the other argument there is, a guy that stays healthy the whole season and puts up consistent 15-point games, like, he's not going to kill you any week, but he's also not going to win you your week the way that a guy who has like a 36-point upside on an amazing offense, like, Cook or, even some of the guys on worse teams that, you'd still probably rather have, like, what's his name from the Jets there?
Breece Hall.
Yeah, Breece Hall, like a guy like that, a little bit flashier, has a huge
by the fact that he has no quarterback.
Right. I mean,
that's the only reason he's not getting at least 5 more points each week.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Kind of crazy those guys let go of Flacco. And now Flacco is just
I mean, he's
like torching people with.
My thing with him was he just didn't fit the mold of a traditional NFL quarterback in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Like, he never lost the arm, like the ability to throw the ball.
Yeah.
He never just all of a sudden fell off a cliff. Like, you don't blame and I know you're a big Lamar Jackson guy. I'm sure that's been covered at length in this podcast.
Oh, big time.
I'm with you in that capacity. Like,
incredible generational talent.
And if you want to call him a running back, okay, great. He's a running back that can still throw the ball better than anyone else on the field. He's on the field, so like, it doesn't matter.
Crazy watching him run because he's running at 80% and using that other 20% to have arguably one of the best visions of a pure rusher of all time. Watching him run is like poetry.
Not only that, you
see
him
anticipate guys that just, I mean, good running backs don't.
And you saw it last week too, where he's not looking to run anymore. When he breaks the pocket, he runs out of the pocket because again, I'm faster than anyone on the defense.
Yep.
And guess what? I can still throw the ball.
Yep. And it's
Like that's
awesome.
what he's doing now. And I don't know how they're my Super Bowl pick. I've said that for weeks
Dude,
now.
I love him. I mean,
if I could put now, I am so excited for the matchup Christmas night.
yeah.
I'm so like, I know we're a fancy podcast, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of fancy implications in that matchup. Ravens Niners Christmas night.
I mean, that's
might be the best game of the year, or I'm hoping it is. I'm praying it's the best.
It's
game of the year.
it's gonna be. My worry is it's a defensive matchup and it's not fun to watch, but it's still kind of cool.
You said my worry is the Niners just run teams out of the building in their home field.
Yeah,
When they're playing a good
Levi
team,
Stadium is
they
scary
just
place.
run teams out. They say, "You want to track me? Let's go."
Yeah,
And they just run them.
yeah. I mean,
But again, does that happen if they lose this game by a touchdown? The Ravens do.
Yep.
I'll pencil them in the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, I believe so heavily in them. I mean, with the receiving core that the Ravens have this year, it's the best Lamar's ever been throwing to.
Right.
Even sans Mark Andrews. Like Mark Andrews is a big hit, but likely has looked pretty good. And
he's a serviceable replacement.
Flowers is coming up. Flowers looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aguilar and OBJ are giving that like veteran perspective on shit. That Flowers catch last week, that was directly because Aguilar goes, "Hey, the DB is going to follow me when I break."
Right.
Flowers is wide.
He just fills the void. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm big on the Ravens. I mean, I always am, but this year I think it's their year. I've said that previously, but they look so good.
I'm with you in a year that the AFC, and again, like you just talked about the Chiefs, like the Chiefs are not what the Chiefs.
No, they've been imploding. It's crazy. They've been imploding recently.
Like,
I mean,
this is the year for other teams to say, "Hey, this is time." Like,
we're here. Yeah,
right.
And I mean, terrible leadership there with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, talk about losing a locker room. You go out and bitch and piss and moan like that after a loss, and you have a guy like Kadarius Toney who's not going to own it and be like, "I was offsides. That's me. I did that."
Yeah, and I don't think it's losing a locker room in the sense that you're talking about, because they still look at Patrick Mahomes and say he's the best player in football, which I can't disagree with.
Right, you can't do. But I mean,
if you're Patrick Mahomes, I'm the best player in football, and you surround me with this. I have Travis Kelce and who?
I get his frustrations, but at the same time, do you act like that on live TV, or do you talk to
No. Of course not. And that's this generation again. Like, people always hate that. Like, Patriots fan, I'm gonna take it where I can because this year's not the place to do it. Like, if Brady did something like that, that would be the leading story on First Take for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and I mean, Brady had his meltdowns, but they were not like that. He's not going out and being like, could impact Travis Kelce's Hall of Fame bid, and,
right?
And
he's like, well, I'll tell you what, this could impact Randy Moss's career.
And he's going out, he's still going out and shaking Josh Allen's hand and saying "great game," and being, you looked great out there, shit like that. Like, totally different.
Right? He's not saying saying, "Hey man, we got screwed." Like, he's not like, that's not
right. He's pissed on his side of the field, and he's not going there and like being weird about shit. But
because
that's Patrick Mahomes.
He also knows that. Yeah, let's say yes, we got screwed. Right? Let's say that we got screwed. But we also know there were 15 things that happened in that game prior to that put us in that position to then get screwed.
Right. Well, that's always the point too. You're always like, oh, well, where'd you really lose the game?
Right. That's where you can't blame a player or situation. Like, well, how did you get in that situation?
Right.
How many issues did you have leading up to that put you in that spot?
I totally get it. And it comes to, the most emotionally charged moment of the game. You get a touchdown like that ripped away from you. Right. I get where you turn back and you're like, that's the moment. But there's a bunch of other shit that they messed up. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had to worry about it. If they're up another 7 points, it's not a problem. But we got to talk about some other updates here. I don't even remember how we got on that.
No, me either. But keep it going. I love shooting.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yep. So like we said, Jacob's trending towards playing. Jonathan Taylor healthy. That's big. You don't have Jonathan Taylor anywhere, and I can tell.
I traded him away in that same league I told you about. I traded him away. I drafted him like the 8th round. I just asked my bench and I traded him for like Chris Olave and someone else. It's like
That's nice.
when I had McCaffrey and
That's been
ETN
good.
already starting
Yeah,
for me. It's like
that's been good for
okay.
you.
You know what? Can I go with an underrated injury one?
Yeah,
Keaton Mitchell.
Keaton Mitchell, yeah, out for the season.
Like came out in bad injury, but I'll tell you what. You know, you always have, especially running backs too, because we just talked about how it's not as consistent of a position.
Yeah,
Especially rookies or second year guys, you always find those ones that kind of come on as the year progresses.
yeah.
He's a guy that I thought by this time, and if he didn't get hurt last week, I think it'd be true. You could pencil in, oh, you know what? I'll throw in my flex to give me 10 points.
I think he's the guy. I thought honestly this injury might impact him because I think it's going to mess with his offseason. And when you're a guy with not serious draft capital, major injury can really derail where you're
It's
at.
like, oh, well, it was only a 6th-round pick, so we can cut him anywhere.
Right. Maybe they take a harder look at hanging on to Gus. Whereas if they had a healthy Keaton Mitchell this offseason, they may be like, we're going to let you walk unless you want to take a minimum deal or something to Gus.
Sure.
But with him hurt, it's like, okay, Gus knows all the playbook. He's been consistent this year. Maybe we keep him. So that's a major bummer because Keaton was rocking. He was doing well, and he was really getting fast, so fucking fast.
Yep. But I mean, you've watched it though. There's a difference when he's in the game.
Yeah, big time, big time.
Him running the ball, especially on those outside runs, or like those quarterback bashes where Lamar reads at the end, and if they attack the mesh point, he gives it, and the running back is like a jet sweep almost. You get him in the perimeter, that's a difference maker.
Yeah, he's been awesome. I mean, that speed really changes the game for them. Because none of their other running backs are those type of guys. That's not Gus Edwards. And that's why Gus was so successful for the stretch that he was because he's the goal line guy.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Yeah, fall in for one.
So, and I think
give me 12 points, right? Fall in for one and give me,
right,
a catch in 30 yards, right?
I think that's what you'll see next year too. I think even if Keaton was the guy, you're still going to have a goal line guy. You're going to have a veteran guy. They've always done it.
Yeah.
You think about the guys that they had Latavius Murray in there. They had Mark Ingram for the longest time. They had those guys that are the pounded in at the 1 yard line because they can't do it with Lamar.
Well, that's what's interesting too is they don't. And maybe it's smart, right? Because he's not, he's not the biggest guy, but maybe you'd think. Lamar, again, with the ball in his hand, is a top 10 just weapon in the league, right?
Yeah.
Him with the ball is a weapon. And the fact that it's not utilized more like an Eagles do with Jalen Hurts around the goal line, I get because it's different body types, but you think you a quarterback sweep, get him on the edge and he can run it himself, or maybe you have one route on the backside or something, a corner route or something that if it's open, throw it or take it yourself. Like you couldn't draw something up like that.
I think you see that more once it really comes down to the
playoff time
or something.
Right.
I think they're being conservative because Lamar's the guy, and Jesus Christ, if they lose Lamar, it is straight downhill. Right. That is one of the unfortunate
we saw
parts
they look like in the playoffs without him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not good. So I think you'll see more of the risky stuff once the playoffs get around, and I actually love that. I think that's amazing. I think if Lamar can get to that place where he can make it happen during the regular season without those types of plays to keep himself healthy and then do that kind of shit in the playoffs. And it's like, okay, you're banged up, but you can play and get him to the Super Bowl. And, maybe you're banged up after that, but you know what? You got your ship and, you've got months to rest.
If you can hold back your best players' attribute that separates them, because his legs are what separates him from other quarterbacks, right? If you 100%. Can hold that back until the playoffs and say, we might get the 1 seed even without using that, you're a pretty damn good team.
Exactly.
And that's what my argument the whole time.
We haven't even talked about their defense. So their defense has been firing on all cylinders. Right. I mean, Hamilton's looked amazing. Patrick Queen looks awesome. They're really rocking. Yep. I'm stoked for that matchup.
I'm very curious about this weekend. Like if they go in and lose, if they get blown out by 3 touchdowns, it's like, well, there goes another pretender against the 49ers and all. Because quite frankly, that is like coming to Foxborough now in the Brady era, right?
Yeah.
If you go in and you lose by a touchdown to Brady and whoever on a Sunday night, you're like, oh shit. Well, they gave their best. They that's a team that you might see around again. But if
Yeah,
you
you know
blown
what?
out, like
I have a lot of faith because when I look at San Francisco's record, they open up Steelers, obvious win. Rams, tight matchup, 7-point game. Giants, easy win. Cardinals, at that time, totally easy win. Cowboys, that's a big game. But I think we're seeing the Cowboys are kind of coming out as fraudulent right now. We just saw them get the shit kicked out of them recently.
you say that, but again, I'm telling you, that Cowboys game, I bet my mortgage was in San Fran.
That was in San Fran.
Right? Like I'm telling you, weird shit happens when you go to the Bay.
Yeah, the only ones that have really done it, at home against them have been the Bengals. The Browns, they lost to the Browns, and the Browns were home, and they only lost by 2 points.
Right.
They lost to the Vikings at the Vikings. They lost by 5. And then they lost to the Bengals, but they lost by two touchdowns. So, and then since the bye, it's been win at Jags, win versus the Bucks, win at Seahawks, win at Eagles, win versus the Seahawks, and then win at the Cardinals. And I think this is the big test here. This really is this is going to give you a lot of insight for what the postseason is going to look like. I know we're a fantasy podcast, but I think this is a big matchup for both sides because these are serious teams. These are the two guys to me.
I'm not kidding. I talked to a guy in terms of fantasy today about he had long hair and played baseball in college. Like you can probably name the guy, but he's playing a guy who likes to use his cheat sheets and in drafts and such. So
sure.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Awesome. Yeah, great pick. But he's talking about defenses and stuff. Like he's like the Ravens on the road, 49ers, they've been great. That stuff matters this time of year. Like you're not gonna
dude, I am not
you're not penciling a defense and a kicker now. You're looking like, well, are they playing in a dome? Are they in some weather this week? Like we're factoring in everything. If that's the case, now when it really gets down to crunch time, like we need to talk about these matchups.
In our other big league, I got just to flex a little bit. I got the Jets, the Eagles, and the Bills on my roster right now to go into championships because it's pretty nice. I got
who do the Eagles have this weekend?
So the Eagles, I'm not starting them, but they got the Giants. I'm starting the Bills versus the Chargers.
Well,
Bills.
I don't blame. Yeah,
Bills have looked nice. Chargers looked god awful.
Yeah.
So I got Jets versus Washington, Bills versus Chargers, Eagles versus Giants. There's not a bad matchup in the bunch. I mean, all of those would be started on other.
But that also sucks because you're like, well, I can't pick the wrong one now.
Right, exactly. So I'm going with Bills versus Chargers. That seems like the most reasonable. I mean, they're going to start an Easton Stick. They're probably not going to have Keenan Allen. They just had a huge coaching and offensive coordinator, and all those are changing. Like it seems like a smash matchup for at least 10 to 15 points, which is all I want to lock in from. I just don't want to get romped. Like I don't want to have a 3-point game for my defense in the playoffs.
Right.
Everyone needs to fire on all cylinders. So,
I'm assuming that's another injury you're going to talk about. Like Keenan Allen, what are you doing? And not only
dude, I'm stressing about him. I mean, I got him in our Dynasty League, and he would be a great start. Luckily,
I'd love to see you in the championship, by the way.
That would be great. Wouldn't that be great?
I would love to come in here, have a little kumbaya, like, hey man, you're great. No, you're great.
You're great. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're getting the same.
Like, you want to split the pot, man, like that sort of. You know what I mean?
Dude, Allie and I in our other league could end up in the championship together, and we've already made an agreement that if we get there, we're just going to take all the money and go on like a big
nice. Because then it doesn't matter who wins. It's going
it doesn't matter who wins, and it's going to be like, and then it's just who gets to talk shit.
So let me run something by you here.
Yeah,
because we were Sam and I were in Boston last weekend, and we're with Troy, Dean, Nick, and their significant others.
Yep.
Obviously, they all do fantasy.
Yep.
We were, and this is just for some good humor here, but a couples fantasy league where it's like each couple manages their own team.
Yep.
And it can be an 8-team league, but the women can draft. Only the women can draft the league.
And everybody
the guys are in
silently.
The guys are in the green room or whatever, and you can't make any comment. You have to just watch your significant other draft your team. I mean,
oh my God, I would be prepping like classroom style with Allie for weeks. I'd be like,
how much would you pay to watch Austin try to prep Shannon for?
Oh my
God!
That? Oh my God! Amazing.
Like for the summer, if you could have a subscription to Austin and Shannon Fantasy Time, not that way, but the fantasy football way.
I think it would just be. I mean, anybody. If he was prepping anybody, it's just Austin talking at them about JJ Zacharyson. That's all he's doing. He's just saying,
right. Yeah.
I got this great podcast. You guys should listen.
Listen. I have my sheets. There's 2 monitors. You can use this one for this one for that.
Dude, that would be amazing. I think we should do that. We can run it live here. We can all sit in the room and let them all draft.
See what I'm saying? Exactly. We're in a room and we're watching them just pick. Oh, that guy's kind of cute.
Dude, that'd be phenomenal. But so to answer your question about Keenan Allen, I don't know. Honestly, it's tough. It's Keenan Allen. I mean, Jesus, how do you sit him?
You got it. He's gonna get 10 right. If you could be Joe Schmo. If you're playing quarterback for the Chargers, you're throwing the ball to Keenan Allen.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, even that god awful New England game, he still put up 10 points.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's still at 11 or 12 points, right?
I mean, that was a nightmare game. No one scored a touchdown. So I mean, and that's the thing. And Buffalo is a tough matchup. I don't know. With my roster that I have, I think I might not start him because I got Jefferson and Adams, and then I'm starting McCaffrey, Mostert, Barkley, and Taylor. So,
I mean, and what's funny is, quite frankly, the most questionable one there is Taylor.
Yeah, really. I mean, Mostert had an injury pop up today, but that seems like a veteran rest day. I'm not worried about that.
Wednesday, yeah.
So, all right, let me run through the rest of these quick headlines, and then we'll get into talking about our matchups. OBJ, veteran rest day. Hunter Henry, not sure about this one. He did not practice today.
You know what? He's been sneaky good in fantasy this year too.
Sneaky good, but big, boom bust. Like it's been, it's feast or famine, which is not huge.
It's one of those, you don't love like relying on him come this time of year.
No,
he's not you don't want Hawkinson him where like his floor is he's going to get 10 points.
Right,
his floor is he's going to get 2 points.
Exactly. So, and then you got a couple other ones. The big one here for me that I'm worried about, is Collins. But you also got Stevenson, Brian Robinson, and Moss. All did not practice. Moss not practicing is actually awesome if you have Jonathan Taylor.
If you have Taylor, yeah.
That's what you want to see because Moss is
again could be just a rest day though. It's like running back. If
I don't see because he missed last week, didn't he? Or he went out last week. That was the thing. He went out last week, and Sermon and their other rookie stepped in. So Pittman had a limited practice, so he'll probably play. But Stevenson, I'm not counting on Stevenson, and I'm not counting on Collins really because those probably aren't veteran days. They're not. Those guys.
No, and again, as a Patriots fan, I mean, you shut Stevenson down for the year. What's the upside?
I mean, there's no upside. Don't let him take him.
I mean, if you can save him half a season of taking hits he doesn't need to take,
why
would you? I mean, he's a guy that at the very least maybe you can sign him to an extension in the offseason.
Yep.
Now, because of his numbers are lower-ish, even though what he is, like
right, exactly. The market value of him has not gone up,
right,
markedly. So,
which again, if he played a full healthy season with a competent offense,
he's not a Patriot next year if he does.
Right, exactly,
because they're not paying him.
Right,
which is crazy too, because like money for running backs is really not high right now. So, all right, you ready to talk some matchups?
Matchups.
Yeah.
For people that are still in the playoffs?
Yeah, you mean you and me?
Yeah, let's talk some playoff matchups.
Not John?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
John's out in every single league except for his work league. He lost and he didn't make playoffs in the college league that we have with our friends. He didn't make playoffs in our other league, and he got beat by you. And I beat him last week in the contract league.
What made me the happiest is that you and I had this conversation right around this time last week.
Yeah, we did. We were like, how great would that be?
I was like, man, if we both beat John in different leagues, are like, I could drop that and be a happy man.
You know, the funniest thing, I saw him Sunday evening. He came like he's up
Oh,
here.
hold,
So I
hold on.
got to see.
I need a refresh before you tell this story. Hold on.
Yep. So so he comes in and he was just like, "Hey guys," like very clearly had just had a tough day because he just watched the Chiefs Pats game, and
Yep.
then also was like actively watching his team lose at the Gillette Stadium. Which, you know, if you've ever been at a game and watched your team lose, and the
He was at
game
that game?
sucks, yeah, he was at that game.
Why?
We have season tickets,
No,
so it's like, and
not
like
a good year.
tickets.
Not a good year for it, but
No, dude, did you know I went to the Chargers Pats?
I saw the photos. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
my
like
mom.
you were like that. That's the classic. Like, look how happy we are. Look how great everything is. And I'm looking at that motherfucker. I know it was a 6-0 game. It's freezing rain. You're freezing your ass off. No one's
Dude,
happy to be there at that time.
that was my mom and her boyfriend's first ever NFL games. They didn't get to see a touchdown. They bought the tickets. She bought the tickets like a couple months ago from us for his birthday.
Like,
And
Jake,
I was like,
this is soccer but less gay. Like, that's all there's.
I was like, oh, dude, this will probably be a pretty good game. Like the
Yeah.
Chargers are looking nice. Like the
No,
defense for the Pats will keep them in it, and like,
yeah, no, on paper,
you
you're like,
know,
all right, like here we go.
yeah. So John comes in. He's not pleased. He was very unhappy. But then we saddled up and we went to downtown Portsmouth and we went out and he got a lot happier. So all right, let's talk some matchups.
Yes.
Only got a few, but let's talk.
Talking matchups.
Okay. I'm gonna go first here and just get mine out of the way. I'm playing Logan. Logan is the second seed overall after Tyler sniped that from him, but he's still got a bye, so it doesn't really matter. The good news really for me here is that Logan lost Justin Herbert. So he is starting Matthew Stafford, who has looked okay.
Okay, he's a top 10 quarterback this year.
QB 16.
I mean, as you just watching it, like the way.
Oh,
you know,
I mean, he's amazing. He's an incredible NFL quarterback.
He is one of the top. Like, him going down is the equivalent to Lamar going down in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, really interesting. Like he performs really well against tough defenses. Like it's almost like that challenge. That challenge really gets to him. But he's playing New Orleans, so who knows? I really don't. I don't know exactly how it's going to go.
You don't love, and that's tomorrow, correct?
Yeah.
You don't. You know what? I don't love I don't love anyone on a Thursday night. That's a feast or famine thing in my mind. So like that's a win right there. I think the fact that you got him on a Thursday.
Yeah, because he gets locked in. But I mean, really, he had to be locked in. His only other option is Bailey Zappi. Because he lost both Daniel Jones and Justin Herbert. So
it might be Matthew Stafford either way. I don't think you're rolling out Daniel Jones this time of year.
Daniel Jones is playing Philly, who's looked awful, and Daniel Jones got wheels.
Yeah, maybe you're
Oh, man, wow! I did not think about how bad his early season was. Holy cow!
Yeah, no, he was dreadful this year. They just signed him to a contract too.
Yeah, expensive one. He put up 30 points against Arizona, but then he put up 3 against San Francisco.
And you say he has wheels. The fact that you can't run for more than 30 yards.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah. He only was able to, 2 rushing attempts. His Seahawks game is even worse. This is even sadder because he ran for 66 yards and he put up 8.7 points.
Right.
So, it's I mean, that feels good. Selfishly, I don't want Tyreek Hill to play. I am facing Tyreek Hill here, and I am facing Tyreek Hill in another league. I don't want to see him play. But if he does play, it's not like he draws the most cake matchup. It is Dallas. And
right. I mean, and again, he's a guy they're going to get the ball to.
Right.
But my question is, how good is that O-line?
The Miami O-line?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you move to a spot a little bit, make him run around. He's not the same quarterback. He's just not. If he can take a nice, even on a play action, right? He can take a nice play action, good, nice 7-step drop, get away from all the pressure. Then, oh, I have the 2 fastest guys on the field doing this or doing whatever.
Yep.
I'm comfortable. But if you make
totally
a move off that,
I'm totally worried about that because I'm starting Tua. My options in that league are Tua or listen to this cast of characters: Tommy DeVito, Taylor Heineke, Nick Mullins, or Easton Stick. Those are my other QB options. It's crazy. Those are 4 starting NFL quarterbacks.
what's wrong with the Italian?
Honestly, if I had to pick, it's him or Nick Mullins. Really, I mean,
Nick looked all right.
He looked all right, and he's got JJ. So
yeah,
I mean, if he doesn't throw those 2 interceptions last week, he's putting up 20 points. So
and you put one of those on him, maybe.
Yeah. So I'm really, I got Christian McCaffrey against Baltimore, but like we talked about earlier, that's you got to win it to prove yourself. You got to win it to be like, it's us.
Mm-hmm.
We're the guys, and Christian McCaffrey is matchup proof.
He's unbelievable. This is my first year having him, and I can go through that league later on. But this is my first year having him, and it's like every week it's like, save some of that for the next week. I don't need you.
It's like last week, dude. Last week exactly. I had
He had 2 touchdown catches.
I gotta tell you
back?
about. This is a league we don't often talk about because it's not really relevant here. But last week I scored 142 points, and it was a sweat game. I was stressed because everything's looking nice, and then it's Sunday night, and Christian McCaffrey. I've got Cook and Christian McCaffrey. I've got Cook. He's got Christian McCaffrey.
Mm.
So I had already won my other matchups where I have Christian McCaffrey. I was freaking out because Christian McCaffrey just keeps putting up points. Like they have well won this game. Meanwhile,
no, if Cook didn't have his best game of the year, you're losing that matchup probably.
Oh yeah, luckily, I had just enough because like his other players really didn't show up all that much, and Josh Allen, thank God, only 16 points, thanks to James Cook. But luckily, I got to pull DeAndre Swift at the end of the night because I'm not risking this. I'm up 8 points, but it was a sweat, dude. Because I was like 80% likely to win, and there's a time it went to likely to lose. So, yeah, that was a sweat. But as far as Dynasty goes, I get Taylor back, and I feel good about that. I got having McCaffrey, Mostert, Barkley, Taylor, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, and then Evan Ingram, who has looked phenomenal.
He's unbelievable.
Phenomenal. Anytime that guy gets anything in the red zone, he's having a huge game.
And especially now with Kirk's out, right?
Yep. And Tampa Bay defense is banged up and looks bad. So
and the fact that ETN too also isn't being used as much in the passing, like that's why I think like Doug Peterson's a really good coach, and sometimes they look really good, the Jaguars.
Yep.
But other times you're like, is this just hey, let's drop back and let Trevor Lawrence just be the best quarterback in the league? Like he's not.
Right.
Like where is the out scheming thing? Where's the Kyle Shanahan, the Sean McVay, you name the Mike McDaniel? Where is that when it comes to Doug Peterson? Because that's all I heard about him.
Right.
I heard he out schemed Belichick in the Super Bowl. Right. So where is that when it comes to developing a young quarterback? It's not a hey, let's catch it and gun, 2 by 2 and just let's throw it to one of our a guy who's better than the guy across from.
Yep.
Like, how do you not get the running back more involved? I don't understand that. And quite frankly, you said the tight end in the red zone. That's if you notice it, if I notice it, so do NFL defenses. So that's to me, that's a feast or famine thing also.
Yeah, I mean, luckily he's been pretty good. I mean, fairly consistent even without red zone stuff. I mean, there's been a couple tough matchups, but against Cincy and Cleveland, putting up 20 plus points is pretty awesome. Man,
he gets the volume too.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Every week he's averaging 7 target or more than 7 targets. Which what could he really ask for more from a tight end?
No,
really,
I mean
nothing.
No, unless you're Kelsey or Andrews, like you're not.
Yeah, and even those guys don't get much more than 7 targets, even in,
No.
like Andrews. Kelsey might, but
Kelsey
yeah.
might get 10, but that's just because Mahomes doesn't trust any of his receivers to throw the ball to.
So I'm feeling good about that. I feel like Montgomery and if the Gibbs and Montgomery pairing that Logan has, if that can be a bad rushing game, that can be huge for me.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't love starting 2 running backs, but that's been a pretty good combo.
It's interesting in our league. Again, Dynasty is a little different than other fantasy leagues people have. But what's the other? Shit, I'm drawing a blank now. The other team where they have you can roll out both running backs and you're good.
The only one I can think of in recent memory is Kamara and Ingram. Those are the only other guys I would have want to start 2 of.
This is this year though. Maybe it is just that or like Algiers and Robinson, but even they're not. I mean,
you could. There's games you could start. Yeah. There's games you could start Zeke and Stevenson. But
you could, yeah. But I mean, if you're doing
wouldn't.
that, you're not winning too many games.
Yeah, shit's not looking good. Yeah. All right. Well, let me talk about league of record, and then we can let you give your whole spiel.
Yeah, it'll be short.
So league record, I'm feeling pretty good about this. He's got Stroud, who's going to be likely not playing next week, and he's starting Geno Smith against Tennessee.
Likely, no, I believe he's ruled out, Jake. By the way.
Oh, is he ruled out?
I believe either he was ruled out or it's come out like he's
out of practice.
Not close to clearing.
Yeah, I don't see him clearing protocol. No. And his other guy's Geno. And my question is after that game. No,
I know what you're gonna say. No,
that's just I don't know.
No,
bummer for Drew Lock because that was that he looked awesome. But
it's a great Monday night story, Jake. Let's not make it out to be more than it is.
But I don't. Geno's been decent, but he's playing Tennessee, and Tennessee hasn't been as cake of a matchup recently, and Geno's not like he's not a rushing quarterback. He's not, somebody I have super high hopes for. He's okay. So, and then he's got Jacobs and Collins that he's, waiting to see if they start. So both those guys don't play. Jacobs, I see playing. Collins, I don't see playing. I feel better because his flex option right now his starting wide receivers are Adams, Odell Beckham Jr., and Demarcus Robinson.
And even Adam, you can't even say you can count on Adams anymore. Because quite frankly, next week Jacoby Myers could go off for 20 points.
Yeah, against Kansas City.
Adams was they were force feeding him early in that game, and again, I watched too much of that Thursday night football game last week when it was like a bad high school football game, unbelievably bad. But he's a guy that easily could get 8 to 10 points.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's your number one, and you're like, he might only get me single digits. That's not comfortable. That's not a comfortable feeling.
No. But I'm feeling pretty good right now. My major question here is I got Pacheco, who should be healthy, and I got Devin Singletary, and then I got Austin Eckler. You see where my dilemma here is? It's like, how do you keep starting Eckler? But then it's like, he goes 7, 9, 4, 21, 7.
I think, man, and again, you are a better fantasy football player than I am. But if I could do anything, I would start Austin Eckler only because it's Easton Stick playing quarterback for the Chargers. You got to at least think they have some shit drawn up for him. You have to.
I guess, man, but his role was diminished last week, and granted,
diminished. They were down 40 at halftime. Diminished,
he's a pass catcher, so it's like, how diminished should that be? And he's one of their best players theoretically.
New regime.
So,
how many points did he get last week?
He got not a lot. 7.8.
Can it get worse than that?
I don't think so.
Is that the floor?
But
you don't want that to be the floor. But if that's the floor, you can at least it's not 2.
But I could play Pacheco, who the last 2 times he played, he's played has gotten 25 and 21 and been pretty consistent. But I don't know. It's tough. I haven't made that decision yet. I don't know. You almost want to start Eckler because you want to have that argument after where you're like,
Right.
well, I'm not starting Pacheco.
I started my best guys. I had to play my best guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think if you started a Chiefs running back, I don't care if he's the number one. If you started a Chiefs running back and lost because of it, I don't think you'd forgive yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's Eckler's, tough, but it is kind of a guy you want to start. And you look at that stretch where he had 23, 21, 21 against Chicago, New Jersey, and I'm sorry, Jets and Detroit,
Right.
and then Denver. I mean, he's a 20-point guy possibly, and
Like at the very least, he's a guy you have to get the ball to.
Yeah.
Whether he does something with it or not, that's on him. But he's a guy who's going to touch the football a fair amount.
I'll tell you who I'm stoked to be starting in this matchup: Trey McBride.
Oh,
Guys look awesome.
He's been. And I've only seen him peripherally, but he's been a monster this year.
Yeah. Of tight ends, highest yards per route run.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been amazing.
And what's impressive too is he's just getting open because he's gone through multiple quarterbacks.
I got to tell you, he's really good. And with Kyler, if Kyler loves throwing to the tight end, and if Kyler, he got to learn underneath Zach Ertz, which is an awesome guy to learn from. And yeah, I'm stoked on him because in this league it's a keeper, and I got him off waivers, which means I get him for a 15th. I get him for a 15th next year.
I'm gonna leave like that as well. I got Puka off of waivers.
Nice.
And I'm stoked for that next year.
Nice. Yeah, my options next year, I got I can either try for Pacheco again, who is my 50-50, and I get him for 14th, or I can Jefferson
in the 14th round.
I got him off waivers last year.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay.
So I kept him for 15th. I can keep him again. We're doing a rule change. So I got you're gonna hate this. I got Jefferson for a 14th a couple years ago.
It doesn't matter to me.
Well, yeah, it's true. I got Jefferson for a 14th a couple years ago, and I've kept him every year.
Yep.
And so this year I got him for 12th. So everyone was getting burned by Jefferson not playing. I've been just like I got the buy, and then I get Jefferson back.
Mm-hmm.
So right now
let me ask you though, and again, 15 points last week, fine, but is that what you sign up for with Justin Jefferson?
I'm not complaining because no touchdown. You're not complaining about that game if he gets a touchdown.
Yeah.
And you can't really predict touchdowns. They're playing Detroit, theoretically a high scoring matchup.
They're gonna have to throw the football.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm not worried about it. But this matchup, I made the playoff or the second round of playoffs in every league except for one, and I'm praying that I make that championship in at least a couple of them, man. At least 50% of them.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about what your matchup with Jon looked like last week, and tell me about what this week's looking like.
This was a. What can I find it here? Oh, I gotta go back. Yeah, this was just a route. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Scored 140, 139.7. I mean, Jon scored 103 points, and quite frankly, it was just guys being guys. Like, this was my guys outperforming him. He was and again, I obviously haven't been a regular here, but how much did he hype up Bijan?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah, Bijan's the guy. He sold the farm to get Bijan, and we were all pissed at Ben. I mean,
giving up the picks and all that. Yeah,
yeah, it's
0.4.
That's just an unbelievable story.
0.4. 7 carries, 11 yards, and a fumble lost.
That's nuts.
Like
0.4 is almost worse than a goose game. You're almost like, how the fuck do you get 0.4?
Right. Like I put up 140 with Zay Flowers getting 2 points and OBJ getting 2 points.
Oh, Addison. What a game from Addison. Williams.
Addison. And again, you have Jared Goff going off for 35. I mean,
dude, I'll tell you, Rachaad White for you has been absolutely incredible.
And that's the thing is, like, people, he's not going to do it. Well,
dude, I'll tell you
bad quarterbacks throw the ball to the running back.
You know who dogged him
the bottom line.
Up and down was Mac. Mac dogged him up and down. Mac got rid of him.
And Mac listens to this show too. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the championship round. But he you can give me shit all you want. I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here. And you said, like, it's a team you don't want to play. Now, The only thing dogging me right now are the injuries.
Yeah, you worry about Zay Flowers here, but the news came out Harbaugh's not worried about his injury, so
Right.
I'm not really worried about that. And
But
really, your other guy, OBJ, the only, but then again, you can start McLaurin.
so that's what it comes down to is my question. Like,
But do you want to start him against the Jets? He's going to get Sauce
exactly,
Gardner.
because it's going to be Sauce on him and probably a safety over the top.
Yeah,
And
Sauce is going to.
he didn't do anything for 50 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
They brought in Brissett, and all of a sudden he gets 2 touchdown catches that equal 80 total yards.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta if your injuries kill you, you're gonna be screwed here because your bench is that's the one critique I'd give you is your bench is not. I mean, it actually is pretty deep
But it's
because you've
injuries.
lost
It's
guys.
injuries. They're
Like
all
you've
hurt.
lost guys already. Like it's really
I've
not. I mean,
lost guys.
Keaton Mitchell, Brian Robinson, Ramondre Stevenson.
Yep.
Those guys are healthy. Your roster's looking. I mean,
Yeah.
awesome. So I don't know. I mean,
But again, I went into last week thinking versus John, I'm gonna need 130.
yeah, and you've got a tough matchup against Tyler.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I lost to Tyler in another league last week, and if I had started, so for me that was between Demario Douglas and I could look the Noah Brown.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was between those two, and literally I had Noah Brown in there 10 minutes before kick, and I went back to Demario Douglas just because I thought even if they lose, even if they're down, they're gonna throw the ball that direction. And it didn't quite pan out, and Demario Douglas Noah Brown goes off for 20 plus points. And in that, I might have a chance in the other league there, but it was like 152 to 130 or 120 something. Like it was a good matchup. We both scored, but
I think that you've got a good shot here. Tyler traded for Cole Kmet, so he kind of filled that terrible hole that he had at tight end.
right.
But Kmet's playing Arizona, which is not a choice matchup for tight ends this year. And you've got Hawkinson, who has just been, the number one tight end, an absolute monster in a game that is looking to be high scoring.
But man, you roll out CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, and then you got DK Metcalf in your flex.
Yeah. What you need is a high scoring game between Detroit and Minnesota.
Yep.
That's what you need because he's got nobody in that matchup, and you have everything to gain from the matchup just being tons of points.
Because I'm not switching. Golf goes off for 35. I'm not changing quarterbacks.
No, how could you?
Kyler. I'm not doing.
No way. You can't put in Kyler after the way that Goff has been playing right here, and you got to. The old saying. You go to the big dance, you dance with the girl you came with.
Yep.
And it's that's a scenario right here, and you got a lot to hope for here, and I think it. Any given Sunday.
Kerryon Williams is a guy who him and Rachaad White combined could give me 40 plus points
easily.
And then you look at Pollard. Pollard has a good day. Now we're up to 55 or 60. Right, that's just from the running backs.
And Hawk's going to give you a great game, and I have high hopes for you here. I would love if we're talking in a week about us being in the playoffs, and you and I get to sit here and shoot the shit about it while the other two are sitting here watching.
I would love to be here a week from tonight, knowing that at worst I'm running away with $100.
Oh, you get more than $100. You get $150.
Oh,
yeah, yep. It's our leagues are $50 buy-ins, so it's $400 for first place, $150 for second place, $50 for third. You get your money back if you make third. So, it's great. That's I'm happy with it. So, all right, let's talk about our dudes and duds here.
Yes,
dudes and duds of the week.
All right. So I had a bye in the league of record, so I can't really pick anybody from that. And I feel like it's kind of I'm going to pick for my dude of the week. It's Christian McCaffrey. 18 carries for 115 yards and a touchdown, 5 receptions for 72 and 2 touchdowns. You can't pick anybody else when you got a guy like that.
Nope.
For my dud, Saquon Barkley, 5.7 points. It's really just kind of abysmal. 2 receptions for 23 yards. And it started off so good. He got a 23-yard reception right out of the gate, right at the beginning. I'm like, yes, let's go.
And how many touches was that too?
Dude, he had total touches. He's looking at 11 total touches, and
That's not enough.
He's no, definitely not. And he's only getting 37 yards of total offense.
Right.
Yeah, no, that guy. I mean, Saquon Barkley is a guy who needs to be touching the ball at least 20 times a game. And that was a bummer. Other in contention is DeAndre Hopkins, 2 for 9. But I guess Houston's defense is just not as friendly as you'd think, and they had something to prove against Hopkins. What about you, Connor?
I'm going. I mean, dudes of the week. We already mentioned him, but Jordan Addison. Jared Goff. I mean, 30 points from Jordan Addison, and then Jared Goff for 35. Same day. That was both Saturday games too.
Yep. Yeah, I mean those are no brainers. Those guys won you that matchup. You needed that performance.
Just looking at other people's rosters here. I mean, Bijan, 0.4. Kyle Pitts, this all-world tight end got 6 points.
John has him labeled as generational.
Yep. That's he renamed him to generational. Generational bench warmer, maybe. I don't know. It makes a good Gatorade mix. I'm not sure, but
GE 15 on the season. Not even a tight end 1.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. He'd be a nice backup to Hawkinson.
Right.
But I mean, for me, the Ravens. But again, it's like you watch them play, and it was likely this week. Next week could be okay. Next week could be Flowers.
Right. They're playing. They're playing
those
to who's winning.
Had 4 points or whatever, but it's like
the Ravens are. They're playing to who's winning. They're playing smart, good football, and
that's what you can add. Like, well, you can't complain about it.
Yeah, it's tough to be pissed because you needed the win last week to get into the ship to begin with, and Flowers helped secure that. So, it's tough to be pissed at guys like that. But I mean, 1.7 points, you can't help but be like, that's probably my dad.
Yeah, and let me just add one more to it. And this is a guy who's been a disappointment really throughout. Like, if I could have one guy who was because again, I have a team in our league that is. People thought, he's not there. He's not going to do anything, right?
Yep.
Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I got to be real with you. I didn't buy onto Tony Pollard at the beginning of the season. I didn't. I wasn't in on him. I really wasn't. I thought like they're going to be a high-powered passing offense, and
I mean, you nailed it. Like that's what they are. I mean, they are. He doesn't even get red zone touches.
Yeah, that's another killer.
Or you might get a token first and goal from the 6. He brings it down to the 3, and then they're rolling out and throwing to whoever. But
yeah, I mean they gotta just cast the characters behind him.
Right.
Do you know by name perhaps the RB3 on the Cowboys?
Is that Vaughn guy?
No, Deuce is on there, but he's RB4. It's Hunter Lupke.
No.
Right. And Ito Smith, there's a name you probably haven't heard in a while.
I've heard it, not in a good way.
Still in an NFL on an NFL roster. I wasn't in on Tony, but I think you could get a good game from him this week. Against a Miami offense, they got to win that game.
Right, and again, another really good matchup. We talked about
great matchup about
the Ravens and the 49ers. I mean, Cowboys Dolphins is a hell of a matchup.
Great matchup. Yep. Yeah. So, man, it's gonna be. There's a lot on the line here this week for both of us. It's a shame Tyler's not here, so you can't talk trash to him, but he'll listen. So
and I respect Tyler as an opponent. And again, he beat me last week in another league, and it's something that, you put up 150, you tip your cap to the guy, right?
right.
That happened. I mean, shit, I lost. It's an 8-person, not an 8-person league, an 8-player league, I guess.
8-man.
What would you an 8-man league? And I put up 130. He put up 150. Like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? You tip your cap to it, but
Wait, you have a
I don't
league
want to
with
see
8
it
people with
again.
Tyler?
What's that?
You have a league with 8 people with Tyler?
No, no. I'm sorry.
I
I
was
meant
so confused.
8-player league.
Uh
That's the contract league.
oh, okay. 8-man rosters.
Yeah, 8-man. So, but again, that's my point. Is like, I lost. I put up 130, 135, whatever, and I
Yep.
lost to a guy who put up 150 with 8 players.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's
what are you
I
gonna
mean,
do?
it's tough to be too mad about it. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? Tyler will talk a little bit of shit, but I'll tell you, I would 100 times out of 100 rather see Tyler win than John win.
Oh, I'll take.
Dude, the day it happens, it's gonna be a fucking nightmare. He's never won.
The day it happens, it's not gonna happen.
Luck. There's so much more fantasy football is luck. So it's gonna happen eventually, man. I mean, we're gonna play fantasy football with him for a long time, and eventually it's gonna happen. And I'll tell you, he's gonna be a nightmare. I don't
Yeah.
care how many. Like, I could win back-to-back ships again this year. So I won Dynasty and our other main league in the same year, and I won the other league back-to-back that same year. So it was my second
Right.
league. And John is currently being like, you got to stop talking about that. You can't bring that up whenever we argue about our fantasy, our fantasy knowledge. I'm like, motherfucker, what more can I do?
So let me ask you this then. Do you find that John or Tyler is the better fantasy player
Oh, between them or between the three of us?
in general?
In general, it's me. I'm gonna toot my own horn.
Okay.
I'm the guy. I went from coming in dead last and winning one game all season my first year to having won like several championships in 5 years.
Yeah.
And like I feel really good about the research and the picks and everything I make. And there's some luck. There's always luck. Yeah, for sure. You got to get lucky to win ultimately. But honestly, if I had to pick pure, I think Tyler is more analytical. I think John feels passionate about stuff. He gets in his head, this guy is the guy. And people will make him offers that really he should have jumped on, and he doesn't. And
I've been again. He's a guy that ridiculed me for trading you Saquon.
Yeah, and that's worked out great for you.
And 2 of us are still in the championship, or still vying for the championship round.
Yep.
One of us isn't here right now.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you. I mean, this says more about me than him. But I offered him 2 firsts and either Kittle or Ingram for Kyle Pitts. And this was like Kyle Pitts like sophomore year after he had that great rookie season. I was like, he's going to be a guy. And John was like, no. So, obviously hindsight bias there, but like, I just think Tyler's a little bit more analytical. Tyler's also gotten some really nice trades in Dynasty, but he's done really well in our other league too. He was in the championship in both last year. So, I don't know. That's a tough choice. The only answer I have for you is I'm better than both of them.
Well, hopefully you're better than both of them this week too.
I only got to be better than Logan.
Well, can you be better than Tyler too?
You can be better than Tyler for me, because what I need is I need you to kick it. Honestly, once we make the playoffs, once we make the championship, you and me, my stress level goes way down, because I'm like, you know what? At least I don't got to do a fucking podcast with Connor every week. So, all right, let's move on to our next segment. You've done this one with us before.
Survival football.
Survival football. Last week, we had some interesting selections. I went with the Titans, and Tyler went with the Colts. Directly in my face, he said it was going to be a Colts game, and it was. Tyler was right. And then we gave John the Cardinals versus San Francisco because he wasn't here. The Cardinals did not win, which breaks John's streak of 4 games in a row, which is awesome for me because he was closing in on tying up with me. But now we do have a tied record. I'm up 1 game on him, and Tyler's in the lead. The last game that you selected was the Dolphins, and they lost. I can't remember the Dolphins over who. But
This is a kick in the dick.
The good news for you and me is that because neither of them are here, we get to select both of their matchups this week. So we can do a couple things. We could select either side of a given matchup to give one of them a loss because that's a guarantee.
Yep.
Or let's look at our matchups. So what do you think's the worst matchup here? What do you think in here is like a clear slam dunk obvious win?
Giants at Eagles.
Yeah, I love it. Who are we giving that? Let's give it to Tyler. Let's give Tyler the Giants.
Okay, deal.
He's in the lead right now. He deserves the worst of the two. What do you say we give let me see, John.
Should this be on the screen right now or no?
No, I don't know how to do that. I say that we give John the Patriots versus Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it too. Bills Chargers.
Bills Chargers is a nice one. Yeah, you know what? Let's give them the Chargers. Chargers. All right. And let me see. Have I taken? You know what? I haven't taken. No, I can't pick the 49ers this week. I can't bet against the Ravens. I'm big on the Ravens taking that one away, but I've already picked the Ravens for ours.
Yep. I got mine if you want it.
Yeah, who do you got?
I'm going Packers at Panthers.
Okay. Yep, that's a smash matchup. That's a nice one. Dude, did you see how cheap tickets were for that?
Oh my god.
That Panther. Dude, you could get a ticket in the like 100s for a couple dollars right before the game.
Like, I don't know if I believe it.
5,000 people went.
Right.
5,000 people went to that game where tickets were only a couple bucks. That's crazy. That's
in the stadium that holds 75,000.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, geez, I don't know. It's a tough one. I haven't picked the Colts yet. I think I'm going to go with the Colts here.
There you go.
Colts over the Falcons. I think that the Falcons is a shit show. Colts need to keep winning games.
Tell you what, all I'll say is they don't lose at home. The Falcons.
Hey, I'm willing to bet on the Colts here. I feel pretty good about that. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got.
And now, Dr. Logan chimes in.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
So, Trevor Lawrence had a high ankle sprain. This is a graphic showing, obviously, the tibia and the fibula. And the syndesmosis is the ligaments in between, the connective tissue between those two bones. Now, if you look here, the talus bone deep in there below the tibia. Now, a high ankle sprain typically happens when the foot comes upward into what's called dorsiflexion, as well as external rotation, where it moves laterally or out towards the fibula. The foot moves towards the fibula, and then in the end, that is going to move the tibia away from the fibula and then stretch that syndesmosis. Now, if we look at Trevor Lawrence, so dorsiflexion is when your foot comes upwards, and forced external rotation is that. So up and out. If we look at Trevor Lawrence, that is not what occurred. So he did not have the typical... Oh, my bad. He did not have the typical... Here we go. His toes pointed, but then right there, I think it happened when his foot went under his butt and he got forced into his foot going out to the side. He did not have a typical presentation of a high ankle sprain. And I think that's another part of why he's not going to be out for as long. If he would have had forced dorsiflexion where his toes would have been shoved up towards his shin, it would have been a more severe injury.
That was great.
You got to beat this fucking guy.
Why? Because he's smart?
I mean, he was reading Wikipedia the whole time, Jake.
No, he's a doctor of physical therapy.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they don't use Wikipedia at all.
He was not reading Wikipedia. He's a doctor of physical therapy. Connor.
Why is he always in his car?
I don't know. I actually can't tell you that.
You explain that to me.
I think it's kind of part of. I think it's kind of part of the bit now. I think we're lucky he wasn't driving and doing that. So I think it's part of the bit now. But
kind of blessings. Yes, you're right.
I gotta say, Logan, I'm sorry. Me and Tyler did not know how to play that last week, so that's on us. I know you listened to every episode, and we apologize because that was phenomenal. A lot of great information. Yeah. I like learning about it. I think it's cool. So yeah, that's great insight on Trevor Lawrence. I think, we're waiting to see if he's playing right now because Calvin Ridley could be a smash matchup with the kind of targets he's been getting the last couple of weeks and that banged
he's
up.
Played the last 2 weeks.
Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's what is it? He's questionable right now.
Brady was questionable for 10 years of his career.
Hey. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is Tom Brady.
I'm not saying that, but my point is he's clearly going to play. He's played the last 2 weeks.
We're on an entirely different injury right now, so that was pretty irrelevant. I don't know what Logan was adamant that we play his video.
That was weeks ago that happened.
That it was for last week, where it was relevant.
Okay, well, thanks, Tyler, or thanks, Logan. You're a medical marvel. I mean, I don't know what to say.
It's a marvel he hasn't crashed his car sending us a video yet.
That is a marvel. You're right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it for Dr. Logan Chimes In. And that's pretty much going to do it for the show, unless you have any final remarks for our fans, Connor.
I mean, the fact that I am on this podcast again where your host is literally probably in bed right now.
He was watching the Survivor season finale and playing cribbage with his mom.
Enough said. I mean, you know what? You stole my whole monologue, but that's fair. I don't need to say anything else.
Yeah, we all love a good night watching TV and playing games
with our parents at home.
I love that. I don't know. I think it's great. I love playing cribbage with my mom. I'm not going to dog him for playing cribbage with his mom. But season Survivor sucks.
Can you dog him for not being on the show right now?
I can totally dog him for that because
Okay.
He should have brought his microphone. But what are you going to do? You get kicked out of fantasy playoffs. You get a little scared.
All of a sudden, you don't want to talk about it.
Forget
Weird.
your microphone.
Yeah. Oh, darn. I left it at home.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe
I don't have
we'll
a
see him
microphone
next
right
week.
now. My microphone's MIA, and you know what?
I think honestly, it all depends on how your matchup goes, whether we see him next week or not. And on that note, let's end the show.
Thanks for tuning in to Those Fantasy Dudes podcast. Make sure to tune in next week and follow us at Those Fantasy Dudes on Instagram.